spectacular campsites on the most remote of tracks, to the workshop and everything in between. Your next episode of Great Off-Road Adventures is just seconds away. Hey guys, it's Graham from Great Off-Road Adventures here. Look, today we're down at Henderson Mechanical Services, and in this tutorial we're going to run you through how to change your Toyota diesel factory fuel filter, the one that's in the engine bay here. Now this is applicable for Land Cruiser 200s, 70s, Prados, Hiluxes, any current or new model Toyota diesel. They all have very, very similar fuel filter housing and setup. They all prime the same way. They all have exactly the same reset procedure for the warning light that comes up on your dash. So on that topic, I've got the nice advanced dash, so I actually have text come up warning you that my fuel filter has a restriction. But for the more basic dashes, you'll get the fuel light with the dots underneath it. That means that your factory fuel filter, or the ECU, has sensed a restriction in it, and it needs to get looked at. So it's honestly a 10-minute job. You can do it on the side of the road, especially if you're out remote. You just need to be carrying a spare fuel filter, and it's very good practice to do so when you do remote touring and traveling. Carry a spare fuel filter, probably for this exact reason, because you get a dirty batch of fuel, clogs the filter up, you got to change it. The second warning light that you can get in relation to this fuel filter housing is excess water. So water that's trapped in the bottom of the housing, because this is what it's designed for. It's designed to separate the water from the fuel. And that will be your fuel light, and it will flash. And so to rectify that, you've got to drain the water off from the water trap at the bottom, reprime it, and keep going. Now the risk is if you just filled up, you might actually have water in your fuel tank. Now that's obviously a bigger issue than what I can run you through on the camera here today. But I can run you through how to drain the water from the water trap in the bottom of this housing, reprime it, keep on going. You might just need to keep doing to get you to somewhere that can help you fix the bigger problem. So anyway, let's get stuck into it. I'll run you through what tools we need for the job today. So you need 4 or 5 basic tools to do the job, guys. You just need a rag, a water bottle, or an appropriate container to catch the fuel and the water from the filter. You need some needle nose pliers or some pliers to take off the hose clamp, or a screwdriver if your hose clamp's been changed to a decent one. Mine hasn't. 5mm Allen key to undo the bolts around the filter housing. And then this isn't an essential one, but I'm going to use some compressed air just to blow the dust and crap that's around this housing away, just so I've got a nice clean environment to work with. If you don't have compressed air, you can just use a second rag just to wipe the area down. Anyway, let's get stuck into it. So the first thing we're going to do is just clean the area down so that it's nice and neat. Now the noisy compressor's stopped. Next thing we have to do is remove the 2 plugs. So there's a plug on the top here, the black plug. Push him down. Slide him off. And then on the bottom of the filter, there's another plug. It's a grey one. Just unplug him. This way we can lift the whole housing out once we undo the bolts. So speaking of which, 5mm Allen key, the 3 hex bolts on the top of the housing, undo them, put them somewhere safe. There you go. That allows you to lift the top off, place him to the side with your rag, swipe up any excess diesel. Make sure you take the O-ring out. Your new filter should come with an O-ring and you don't want to double them up. So So that's that one there. Put them to the side. And the next step you want to do, grab your rag because it's going to get messy. Just lift the filter out of the bowl. So surprisingly, this actually doesn't look too bad, but I've had the warning light come up 3 times, and each time I've reset it and it came back. So the first time it came back a week later, again when I was under heavy load, and then it came back 2 days later again, next time I put it under heavy load, so I knew it needed to get changed. Anyway, we'll just put that out of the way for now. We'll have a look at it later. So we'll lift the bowl out now. You can see here this little white tap, that's your water drain tap. He will get in the way when you try and lift them out, which is Murphy's Law. As long as you're slow and methodical, it comes out fine. So if you're out in the bush and you have the water warning light come on, you have to drain this off. So you need to take the housing out, leave the top and everything on so you don't contaminate that, and drain the water off. Now you can probably do it inside the car, drain the water off till you get diesel, close it up, re-prime it, priming procedures at the end. Now having a look in here, there's no water in there, which is good, but there's a bit of sediment in the bottom. So hence why the restriction lights come up. So we'll just drain it off into the container. There we go, draining out. And you can see the first thing that should come out, if there was any water in there, it would be the water that's trapped in the bottom, because water's heavier than oil, it's heavier than diesel. So that's all diesel, which is good. That's why it's good to put it into a clear container and you can then inspect it and see what's going on. So if you had your water warning light on, this is what you do. You drain it off like this till you get the nice sort of yellowy fluoro diesel colour coming through. Then you shut the drain, re-prime it, hopefully keep going, because it's just been a little amount accumulated over a long time. But if you have gotten a batch of diesel that's got water in it, your warning light will come back on fairly soon after, and at that point you need to be looking at draining a little bit out the bottom of the tank. And that's an in-depth procedure, so we won't go into that today. There's only a little bit left now in this housing, so we'll just let it drain out a bit more, and then we'll actually have a look at the sediment in the bottom, which is what's caused it to block up. And look, sadly guys, that can't be avoided, it's just how it is. So that's why I run 2 fuel filters, especially any remote travel that you do in Australia. You're bound to have to fill up at probably a less than desirable fuel station, or hasn't been a high turnover of diesel, and you might get some contaminated fuel. Close the trap up again, put this somewhere where you're not going to knock it over. In my case like this, I'd keep it and use it to know, if I was out in the bush, I'd keep it and I'd use it to light the fire tonight at camp. Anyway, I'll get you a close-up of the inside of this bowl. You can see the sediment trapped in the bottom. So you can see there, the bottom of the fuel filter housing, all this black stuff. That's all the sediment that's been trapped in the bottom of the housing. So the best way to clean that out, just get your rag, push it round in there, make sure it's a clean rag. Yeah, you can see a bit more in the diesel there. But yeah, we'll pour that last bit of diesel here out into the bottle, clean it up with a rag, compressed air, whatever you got on hand to keep it nice and clean. make sure that it is clean to begin with, and then we'll go through putting it all back together, putting a new filter in, priming it up, and being back on the road again. Well, that's as clean as I'm going to get it now. So I've gotten rid of all that gunk in the bottom, just giving it a nice wipe out. Use that compressed air that I got here. Clean as. So anyway, drop that back in, drop the housing back in. Make sure you get your cable in first, then your water trap and your housing. Orientate the holes, and at that point, give your gloves, your hands, whatever, a good clean up, because at this stage we're going to put the nice new filter in there, and you don't want to contaminate it. So in this case, guys, I've got a Ryco fuel filter as my replacement, and you'll see there you've got the filter and the O-ring, and it's all nice and clean and tidy. So look, I'll leave this one in the bag, I'll pick up the old one and we'll compare the two quick. So there's the two. Now, as you can see, it's not a great deal of discoloration. I've seen these things black as before, but obviously looking at the little bit of sediment that was left in the bottom of the bowl, they were quite big pieces, so obviously that's what's caused the restriction. Anyway, we'll get the new one in now. So again, this is what I was saying. Make sure that the seal isn't attached to the bottom side of the top hat or stuck in the housing at all, because you're going to have an issue then. But you just want push the filter in so that it seats with a little click. Put that seal in around it, and at that point there you can get your hat, top of the housing. Make sure they're all aligned. Your 3 screws, your Allen key. We'll just do them up sort of finger tight for now. Get all 3 seated in there, so we apply nice equal pressure to the seal. Now the noisy compressor stopped again, you can hear me. We've seated the 3 screws just down to finger tight, and now you can just tighten them up. Again, you don't need to go overly tight, but you need to make sure that they're tight enough, not going to come out in the corrugations. Give the area a little wipe up with your rags, make sure that you don't have too much diesel spilt. And at this point here, you can reconnect your plugs, top one and bottom one. Now the best procedure for priming this fuel filter, I've done this a few times, my old car, this car, and covered it off in the video, and we serviced this car with Mike and the guys here at Henderson's, is to actually take the outlet pipe off of the housing, because it gets all the air out quicker. You pump the fuel through, and then when you get a nice steady flow of diesel, you put the pipe back on, prime it up a bit more, car should fire up straight away. So that's what we'll do now. Grab your needle nose pliers, because I've got these annoying hose clamps. You should be able to just grab them. That's all I do, slide them off a bit. Again, grab your rags in case there's a mess, but I'm lucky there isn't. So hold your rag underneath, and the black button on the top is the one used for priming. You've got to fill that whole housing with fuel, so it can take a while. There we go. Nice, good solid flow of diesel. Push the pipe on. Peel your hose clamp back. Put them on. And here, just keep priming until that button goes hard, and you want it like rock hard. Oh, I reckon I got one more in it. There you go, solid as. And at that point there, jump in and start the car, let it run for a bit. When you prime it up nice and firm, it should literally just fire up straight away and keep running. Just like that. If it was to shut down on you now, just go back, reprime the filter, come back in, start it up again, let it run, let it idle. If it stalls again, reprime it. And it only, worst case, it'll only do it about two or three times, and then it'll run quite happily. But as you can see, as long as you pull that hose off, and you don't push all that air into the system, you get the air out, you get fuel in, put the hose back on, then prime it up. It just runs, you run purge straight away. Cool, I'm happy with that. Let's run you through how to reset the fuel filter warning light now. Right guys, let's run through the reset procedure to reset the fuel warning light. So what you have to do is, with the car completely switched off, so ignition all the way off, unplug the little black plug on the top of the filter housing, go into the car and turn the ignition on. Do not start the car, just turn the ignition on. So to turn the ignition on in my car, obviously you've got to have the key in it. Foot off of the brake, push the start button twice. This is the same for all the push button start Toyotas. Obviously if you've got a key, advance it to the second position. The ignition's on, you go back and now you connect the black plug in the engine bay. Now the ignition's on, you reconnect the black plug at the top. And now you go back in, put your foot on the brake, start the car, warning light should go out. Come in, foot on the brake, start the car. There you go, warning light's out, all done, nothing there. Well guys, that'll end the tutorial on how to change your Toyota fuel filter. Like I said, pretty straightforward. Guess the last thing you do at this stage if you are at home, or maybe you have a can of degreaser with you, I certainly do, take one with me when I go away. Just degrease around, clean up any of that diesel that you spilt, especially when you're messy and you do the job like me. But yeah, that'll do it. If you don't have a can of degreaser, doesn't matter, just means it'll be a bit more dusty when you get home. So look, I really hope you found the video useful guys. This is this new segment that I'm trying out, so leave your comments below if you liked it, or if you found it helpful, give me feedback, it's always useful. And make sure you punch subscribe, because I hope to bring out a couple more of these little tutorial helpful videos, just to help bolster the content on my channel, help you guys out when you're out there on your adventures. So anyway, see you next time. If you're looking for a professional team to service or repair your vehicle, or perhaps you need a peace of mind inspection done on your four-wheel drive and trailer before a big trip, I highly recommend the team at Henderson's Mechanical Services. Once again, a big thanks to them for allowing me access to film in their workshop.